Poison Ivy issue 2, G. Willow Wilson writing, Marcio Takara on the art. Matt, this is one you read, so take it away.
So G. Willow Wilson, Marcio Takara, and it's Pam stops at this diner because if you remember, I don't know how much you remember because you kind of got up and left me to talk about Ivy, but she has this plan where she's going to dose the majority of the United States with this fungus that kills them and turns them into spread to kind of give the green a fighting chance against humans. But she stops at this diner and it's in Montana, and it's kind of like this place for wayward souls. And there's this chef that seems like he's maybe of Middle Eastern descent, just kind of out of place, and he's cooking these different foods. And Pam's sitting there just taking in everything, and you can tell she's like uncomfortable, and you find out that she has already sent these spores out, and she's trying to control them to get an even distribution across this diner. And then this dark-haired lady sits across from her, and we find out that she's a poet and that she's making her way across the United States, and it starts to make Pam realize, like, oh, well, maybe there are some humans that are worth saving. And then that makes her think of Harley, because the book opens up with this page of her and Harley, laying together in a spoon position, and Pam talking about how much you mean to me, but we don't know if she's meaning Harley or a plant or whatever. It's just this kind of dialogue. And then the police bust in the diner, and Pam's not having a good time because she's trying to control all these spores. And this Jenny girl turns out that she's not just a poet, because poetry doesn't pay, as she was telling Pam. She ran a wire fraud scam at a library, and she's on the run. And this again makes her think of Harley, and like, is she doing the right thing? Of keeping this plan in, and it's not too late for her to stop. But we get a flashback of her with the gardener in Gotham, and the gardener tells her, you're too far gone. You'll never be Queen Ivy again. That was a one-time deal. And she gets mad that basically they made her become this human version of herself again. And that she realizes that she'll never be in touch with that green again. And what she felt in the green shows that her mission, that the funny thing is with humans is, like, as much as that she can love them, that they are also the problem that's killing the green. And so what side does she side on? So it plays up with more of that. We also get her talking about, when people ask her if she's a vegetarian, and she goes into this whole, diatribe of, do you know how much death is involved in farming vegetarian and vegan? She brings up agave. So when you get agave nectar, the stuff that they do to the plants to create that causes, the species of bat, which I thought was funny that it ended up being bats. They don't flower because they don't need the flower when they make the agave nectar. And then it kills off the bats. And with that, it creates a monoculture that are, susceptible to blight. And this is all because of mankind's doing. So she goes, yeah, no. So you can say that, I'm a bit of a carnivore. And it kind of just plays into the idea of carnivorous plants setting traps. And it's kind of what she's doing. But so she goes to get into the van, and the people that she had first turned into these fungus, she looks like, maybe it was moving. So maybe they're not fully dead. Maybe this is the fungus also interacting with her. And yeah, so she gets back into her van and goes off, and she starts talking about Harley again, and she curses the time that, she carried her cross country basically in a vase to unite her with the Queen Ivy. And that's where we left off, that she's going on. But yeah, it was a lot of getting into Pam's head, and if she is a hero, if she is a villain, she's still kind of on the villainous side, but she also seems to have hope for certain humans. There are people that she does like the cut of the jib, and that could, that aren't the problem, that could, not necessarily help her in her mission, but maybe sidetrack her mission of releasing this fungus across the country. She also has a moment where she thinks that, Batman's following her, and she almost has like a panic episode. And she's like, well, he's not going to be all the way out here in Montana. So maybe that's foreshadowing for later. The Takara art is fantastic. The way that he draws Pam here, she's in like the work suit, and she tells Jenny that she's in landscaping, versus how he draws her as just the regular Poison Ivy and the glimpses of Queen Ivy. It almost feels like they're different characters and each one's distinct. So I like that a whole lot because again, it gives us another piece of her personality at play. And then just some of the deaths that she gets, like she kills one of the guys in the diners with a spore, and it just, tears his body apart from the inside. And it's super, super gruesome, but also not really bloody. So I'm really enjoying this book. And people, if you're not reading it, get caught up, because I feel like this might be the definitive Ivy story when it's all said and done, which when I think about, there's not too many. So, but yeah, 8.5.
All right. Was that the last part directed at me?
No, not you, but other people that aren't reading it, because it's only 15 on the Comixology list. So yeah, y'all should be reading this.
Yeah. Ivy's got her hardcore fan base, and they will buy everything that ever comes out with Ivy on it. But
was that directed at me?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So far, it's been this through 2 issues. If this sticks to landing, it's been this in Cycle of Life and Death, or two of the strongest, like to get to the Pam Isley of it, not so much the Poison Ivy, which is good because she needs that kind of character. Because I feel like people write her as the eco-terrorist way too easily. And so, like, I like how Wilson got into her being a vegetarian and what that means for the greater scheme of the world.